The stadium is silent, but the air is heavy with the ghost of 1,000 cheers. For David, this silence is the loudest sound he has ever heard. 2 years ago, the world knew him as the man of iron, a runner whose feet barely touched the earth, a champion who turned every race into a symphony of speed and power. Today, he stands at the edge of the same track, and the simple act of shifting his weight feels like trying to move a mountain. They told him he would never walk without a cane. The surgeons, with their cold charts and sympathetic eyes, spoke of realistic expectations and new limitations. They saw a broken body, shattered in a freak accident that lasted only 3 seconds, but felt like an eternity. But they forgot one thing. David's legs were never his primary engine. It came from a focused mind that refused to accept the word final. Every morning, for 700 days, the battle began before the sun touched the horizon. While the city slept, David fought a war in the quiet of his living room. The first step was not a step at all. It was a twitch of a toe. A victory so small the world would have laughed at it, but to him it was a revolution. He learned that greatness is not found in the grand finish line, but in the agonizing, invisible inch gained. The transformation was not cinematic. There were no uplifting montages with fast-paced music. There were only long hours of sweat, tears that hit the floor like lead, and the crushing weight of doubt that whispers in the dark, "Why bother? You'll never be who you were." And that was the secret. David didn't want to be who he was. He wanted to become someone stronger, someone who had looked into the abyss of his own weakness and decided to build a bridge across it. Now, as he looks down on the white line painted on the red clay, the memories of the crash fade. The smell of the hospital disappears. There is only the rhythm of his own breath and the singular focus of his gaze. He is not here to break a world record. He is here to break the version of himself that believed he was defeated. He takes a breath, a deep, intentional lungful of air, and for the first time in years, the world stops spinning. There is only the next step. The first mile was a conversation with ghosts. As David's sneakers struck the pavement, each impact sent a jolt of memory through his spine. Not the memory of the pain, but the memory of the ease he once had. He remembered when running felt like flying, when his lungs were limitless bellows of fire. Now every breath was a calculated negotiation. His left leg, held together by titanium and sheer stubbornness, felt like a foreign object he had to convince to move forward.
But he didn't look back. To look back was to invite the ghost of the man he used to be to sit on his shoulders and weigh him down. By the 5th mile, the why began to scream. This is the moment every seeker faces, the wall of logic. Logic told David that he had already proven enough. Why push for the full distance? Why risk the agony? But David knew that good enough is the silent killer of greatness. He wasn't running to reach a destination. He was running to reclaim his sovereignty over his own life. The sun began to beat down, turning the asphalt into a shimmering ribbon of heat. His vision blurred at the edges, a sign that his body was reaching its red line. This is where the training of the mind superseded the training of the muscle. He began to practice micro-focus. He didn't think about the 10 miles remaining. he narrowed his universe down to a 3-second loop. In that loop, he was invincible. Passers-by began to notice him. David didn't see them. He was in the Inner Citadel, a place where the opinions of others and the limitations of biology ceased to exist. He was erasing those lines. Then came the cramp, a searing white-hot knot of muscle in his thigh that threatened to drop him to the ground. His pace faltered, the world tilted. David slowed, his face contorted in a mask of grit. He spoke to his body as a commander to a weary soldier. "One more," he whispered. "Just one more." The final mile was no longer a physical act. It was a spiritual manifestation. David's body had checked out long ago, leaving only a raw, burning will. The stadium gates loomed ahead. As he entered the tunnel, the shadows swallowed him. But then he saw it, the light at the end of the tunnel. Step, drag, breathe. The finish line was a thin, white strip of paint, but to David it looked like a golden border between two different lives. In those last 10 meters, time stopped. He saw the face of the surgeon who said never. And then he let them all go. He was running for the very idea of possibility. When his foot finally crossed that line, there was no collapse. He simply stopped. He stood tall, his chest heaving, his eyes fixed on the horizon. The victory was the silence in his mind. He had moved the mountain one agonizing inch at a time. David walked away into the sunset. The marathon was over. Because the most important step is never the first one, and it's never the last. It is always the one you are taking right now, when everything in the world is telling you to stop.